WikiLeaks recently released a cable on the Majors Bay, Kauai, naval renovations. This video details the leak. Begin transmission. Overview of project. The Pacific Missile Range Facility, located on Kauai, Hawaii, reviewed the upcoming Phase 2 of the Base Protection Laboratory. A document by the Space and Naval Warfare Systems Center, recently leaked by WikiLeaks, reveals the extent of the recent Majors Bay renovations. The report aims to 1. Add infrastructure to support Phase 2 sensors along Majors Bay. The Space and Naval Warfare Systems Center report continues, quote, "Recent discussions with Pacific Missile Range Facility personnel have raised an opportunity for the Base Protection Laboratory to partner with base security. Policy changes have increased public access to Majors Bay, a popular fishing and surfing beach on the base. While this improves relations with the off-base community, it also complicates the control of restricted access to nearby operational areas."
While the local media has remained silent, the Navy has completed its Phase 2 renovations on Majors Bay and Port Allan. A renovation which cost a total of $660,000 and was completed in April 2009. The August 2008 report explains the goals of the project as, quote, "If the Base Protection Laboratory project were to install security cameras or other sensors along Majors Bay, the Base Security Department could monitor the area and record data 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That data, representing real-life behavioral patterns in a real security situation, would be available to the Base Security Department." End quote.
Meaning that the data collected would be used by the military base not simply to monitor the visitors to Majors Bay Beach and parking lot, but rather, the Base Security Department on the Hawaiian island of Kauai analyzes the behavior of all visitors to the beach 24/7. Quoting the source provided by WikiLeaks, the areas that require surveillance are the parking lot and the beach from the parking lot to the runway. 3 additional sensor locations would provide continuous coverage from the beach and parking lot to the runway. End quote.
The data collected is then fed to the Base Security Department, which collects the data for behavioral analysis. However, these cameras are such that they serve one purpose: monitoring the populace of Kauai that frequent Majors Bay. This is a simple observation based on the amount of cameras being placed for security purposes, along with the geographical layout of the naval base. Primarily, the base is pressed along the west coast of the island of Kauai.
Exterior military threats along this area are minimal. Conclusion: the limited amount of cameras used and the use of behavioral analysis indicate that the renovations made were aimed to increase the monitoring of the local population of Kauai, focusing on those that frequent Majors Bay.
The Space and Naval Warfare Systems Center's report on Majors Bay also addresses the environmental and historical concerns the project might have, stating, 1. Port Allan will, quote, "acquire State of Hawaii historical preservation approval to mount the camera." 2. Quote, "The Pacific Missile Range Facility NAV, FAC, has indicated that archaeological and environmental, i.e. native birds, concerns are manageable." 3. The Pacific Missile Range Facility, NAV, FAC, will, quote, "ensure environmental clearances are required and will coordinate for an on-site archaeologist during execution if necessary."
However, there is a stark contrast between these quote-unquote concerns, majorly around some of the ways in which the area has been utilized. For instance, one duty outlined in the Systems Center's report reads, quote, "Lastly, the dispatch office already monitors alarms and video from Port Allan, a state-owned small boat harbor 20 miles from Pacific Missile Range Facility. Port Allan operates several recovery boats to retrieve drones and targets from the open ocean for the live firing range to the north and west of Kauai." End of quote.
For this, one has to ask if they are serious. Does the military think it is protecting the environment after it is target practice in the open ocean, simply because they received the proper authorization to put up a camera?
Conclusion on the Space and Naval Warfare Systems Center's report: it seems that the military's primary concern, with regards to the environment, was obtaining the proper paperwork, not protecting the environment. The recent WikiLeaks release demonstrates that the Navy has a greater concern in securing its own population than protecting the INA. Quite simply, the military has increased its occupancy and capacity in the Hawaiian Islands, and done so with minimal concern for the local populace and the environmental impacts.
Secondly, while the military deemed it necessary to increase its own security in Hawaii, spending $660,000 on monitoring, the state of Hawaii was broke and had to cut major parts of public education. A cut which ultimately deprived Hawaii's children of an entire day of education every other week. This type of military spending is absurd, especially when the state is having to sacrifice education. Sacrifices which limited education to the point that Hawaii, last year, posted the least amount of in-session school days in the United States.